A simple question can sometimes feel heavier than it should. The other day, I was getting a haircut when the stylist looked at me in the mirror and asked, "Are you on your way home from work today?" It was just friendly small talk. But before I answered, I felt a small break inside me. I knew he was only being friendly, but I could already sense all the possible branches hidden behind my reply. If I gave a longer answer, another question might follow. Then I would have to decide how much to share, read his reaction, and find the next appropriate response. None of this was dangerous. Still, in that moment, it felt like more than my mind wanted to manage. So I gave him a small, quiet answer. "Ah, yes, that's right." Then I lowered my eyes to the magazine in my lap, without directly saying it. I had signaled that the conversation could end there. It wasn't that I disliked him, nor was I in a bad mood. My mind was simply tired from the day. Silence offered the smallest and most predictable path forward. It reduced the number of things that could happen next. And perhaps that is one reason silence can feel so safe. It reduces uncertainty, limits how much of ourselves we expose, and temporarily frees us from the need to respond. A conversation may look simple from the outside, but several processes are running underneath it. We choose our words. We predict how they might be understood. We watch the other person's face and tone. Then we adjust what we say next. Every sentence opens several possible paths, and we cannot completely control which one the other person will choose. When our mental battery is already low, those possibilities can feel surprisingly heavy. Silence doesn't eliminate communication. Looking down at my magazine was still a message, and silence itself can be interpreted in many ways. But it narrowed the number of possibilities I had to manage. I no longer had to produce another sentence or prepare for another question. This is what makes silence feel controllable. It removes some of the immediate uncertainty from the exchange. The feeling of safety doesn't necessarily mean that the situation is truly dangerous. Sometimes it simply means that the mind has fewer outcomes to predict and fewer decisions to make. In the short term, silence creates a small, predictable space inside an unpredictable social world. When we are tired, anxious, or overwhelmed, that predictability can feel deeply comforting. But uncertainty is only part of the story. Speaking also makes us visible. The moment we express an opinion, a feeling, or even a small personal detail, other people can evaluate it. They may misunderstand us, disagree with us, or respond in a way we did not expect. Social discomfort is not the same as physical danger, but sometimes the body still reacts as if it needs to protect us. Our throat may tighten, our mind may go blank, and for a moment, saying nothing can feel easier than moving forward. This doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with us. It may be a protective response arriving before a conscious thought has had time to examine the situation. For some people, this pattern is also shaped by experience. Perhaps speaking honestly once caused unnecessary conflict. Perhaps showing excitement led to embarrassment, or expressing a need made the situation more complicated. When silence repeatedly brings immediate relief, the mind begins to remember it as a safer option. Here in Japan, silence can also be seen as consideration. We learn to read the atmosphere, avoid imposing ourselves, and leave certain things unsaid. This restraint can be a genuine form of social intelligence, but it can also make the boundary difficult to see. Are we staying quiet because we have thoughtfully read the room, or because an old protective habit has made the decision before us? The difficult thing about silence is that it often works. If I say nothing, I don't have to risk immediate disagreement or embarrassment. The tension drops, and I feel relieved. That relief teaches the mind something simple. Do this again next time. In this way, avoidance can reinforce itself. The short-term comfort makes the same response more likely in the future, even when the next situation might be different or safer. The problem is not silence itself. Silence can be thoughtful, kind, and powerful. The cost appears when it stops being a choice. When silence becomes automatic, small preferences remain unspoken. Necessary boundaries are never explained. Other people are left to guess what we need, while we gradually feel unseen or misunderstood. From the outside, everything may appear calm, but inside, a distance begins to grow between the life we are living and the life we are actually participating in. Real autonomy doesn't mean speaking in every situation. It means keeping both options available. To speak when something matters, to remain silent when silence truly serves us, and to make that decision based on the situation in front of us, rather than a lamb left behind by the past. We don't need to become fearless speakers overnight. To be honest, I am still figuring this out myself. There is no need to force our words into spaces that feel genuinely hostile or draining. The real shift is not about suddenly finding a louder voice. It begins with asking ourselves, does this space deserve my energy right now? If a situation feels unsafe or exhausting, it is fine to remain quiet. That silence doesn't have to be a weakness. It can be a conscious decision to protect our boundaries and preserve our peace. But when we come across a person or place that feels a little safer, perhaps we can try opening the door by just a few millimeters. We can share one small honest thought and see what happens. Not everything at once, just enough to remind ourselves that the door can still move. Tomorrow, as you go through your usual routine, notice where your silence is a deliberate choice and where it may be an old automatic habit. You don't have to fix it immediately. You don't even need to find an answer. Simply noticing, ah, my system has started doing that again, creates a small space between the reaction and the choice. And sometimes, that small space is where our voice begins to return.